basically underground.
Underground.
But I remember when they used to have like Pride people come over to the UFC before the merger, like Anderson Silva. Like when Anderson Silva was coming on and he was fighting Chris Lieben, that was like right after the first Ultimate Fighter. Like the UFC had blown up already. Like they already had like the Forest fight. It was like
that was pretty big. That was 2005, right? That one.
It was that was 5. I don't know when Silva was, at the 6 or 7 maybe. So it was like just he had a little bit of time. Like he came in.
You're like a fight fact. What do you call it? Historian. You know, it's pretty cool.
I
kind of nerd out on these things.
Oh yeah,
and it's cool talking to you because you're like remembering all the dates and the years. And
I nerded out on it. I never watched Jiu-Jitsu, even though like when I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, like I never followed Jiu-Jitsu, and I don't know why, because I used to compete. When I competed, like I had fun, but it was more like with my gym, with my friends.
Yeah.
But to me, like I used to wait for like the next UFC, used to wait for the next Pride. So like Anderson Silva making his UFC debut, to me it was like people don't realize how big of a deal this was.
Yeah,
like I felt like a nerd.
Yeah.
Like watching it, like they put him against Chris Lieben. I think it was like a fight night, so it was like one that was on Spike TV. It wasn't like a big deal. But like for all the hardcore fans in India, they used to watch Pride, or saw like Cage Rage when he was like knocking Tony Frickland out with like a back elbow and that kind of stuff. We all knew this was gonna be like this famous dude. Like he was gonna like kick some ass, and he came in. That one round, whatever, like less than a minute with Chris Lieben was like, altering for like MMA. Like that changed MMA. He was the first guy to like really come from Japan and just like put on a clinic. And then after the merger, like Mirko came, Shogun came. They both didn't do well in their debuts. Eventually, like they earned their cred, but he was like the first guy that came and like kind of like merged that world. And to me, that's when the UFC got interesting, because I started seeing the fights get more interesting. But before that, I don't remember
like these stars,
fights.
Right? These stars in the UFC.
Yeah. It was Tito and Chuck
that were exciting to
yeah. But if Tito and Chuck were not fighting, like I don't remember people being like, oh yeah, there's like this big like UFC going on. Like they were the 2 stars. That was pretty much it. And then after then, it just blew up. But Pride before then was like, that was the mainstay. Like that's what everybody watched.
Man, it's funny. I usually talk about your background and stuff when you started going off on all the MMA. How important do you think it is to have like MMA connected to Jiu-Jitsu? Because there's MMA schools and there's Jiu-Jitsu schools that also have MMA interconnected with it. Like, what's your recommendation for like a friend to start getting involved in
again martial arts?
Martial arts, yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people, don't jump straight into a boxing gym, because they have different cadences, right? Like a lot of them will just throw you into sparring like on day one, but in jiu-jitsu, I think it's a more tailored approach, right? Like it's built for the smaller person. We take care of people. Especially if it's like, somebody's wife or girlfriend trying to get into a workout. I'm not going to send her to like a boxing gym that I don't know. But if she goes to like any jiu-jitsu academy, for the most part, like you'll get like taken care of. So I always tell people like jiu-jitsu is actually a pretty good place to start, especially if you have no experience. Like maybe you're not athletic, you didn't play sports, or you never did wrestling, you never like boxed, didn't do anything. I think jiu-jitsu is a really good program to just start and then like see how you do. And then most schools, like obviously like our school, we have kickboxing, we have, MMA, and then TAC-FIT and a bunch of other programs. So I think that if you go to a just straight up jiu-jitsu school with nothing else, you're kind of limited. You at least have options like in other places that you go. But I think jiu-jitsu is always a good place to start. Like, I don't see myself as like a fighter or like the type of person who like would intimidate somebody on the street kind of thing. Like I don't see myself as like a fighter. But when I started jiu-jitsu, I thought that it was supposed to be like that. And then when I started doing it, like the nerdier guys, like the Mikeys of the world were like
Mitsumishis,
yeah, like they were the guys that were like whooping everybody's butt, and they knew how to take care of themselves like on the street. And that's kind of like how I always like approach it with people. I'm like, it's a good place to start. Like it's a good place to just go put on a gi, try a first class. They're going to show you how to fall. They're going to show you how to like tap out, like all the very important stuff.
Yeah.
Things that you never think about.
Learning how to fall, right?
Learning how to fall. That's
learning how to get up too, how to stand up, right?
How to stand up. Yeah, exactly. Like push the knee, like all like the
getting up in
basic
base,
stuff,
right?
Getting up in base. And then like the idea of like shrimping out, people don't even think about that. They just lay on their back. Like they don't know very basic things. Where if you go to a boxing class, they'll show you how to throw a punch. But what if you never get the chance to throw that punch? And also throwing a punch is not self-defense, right? If you want to be like defensive, you should learn how to like not get hit, and then how to take someone down, or just be able to like defend yourself. And also I think that it's more fair. Like people of all ages could literally do it, right? We have like Ellen.
Yeah.
And then we
almost
have
8 years old, still on the mat, right?
Exactly. I mean, how many
Competing
how
even,
many
right?
sports? How many sports can do that, right? I can't think of another one where you could literally do that.
Yeah, like wrestling, judo, all these like so many people, like so many. The jiu-jitsu is growing so much, right? In the master divisions, you can always keep going. Like Chris is, Chris, Akko, all these guys, like so many people, right? They're chasing that world championship, and it's legit too, right?
Yeah,
There's all these like
it's like legitimate competition. It's not like you're going against like just hobbyists. There's like there are like people in there that have been doing it for a long time. Professionals, yeah. I mean, that's always been kind of like my stance on jiu-jitsu. I always tell people like, just if you want to do something, like it's a really good place to start. If you get obsessed like us, like you're gonna love it. Like yeah. Some people don't get obsessed. Some people do it and they start and then they do kickboxing and they like kickboxing, but it's a really good starting point.
Yeah.